Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're exploring the world of hybrid cloud, and we're looking at the challenges involved with moving regulated mission-critical applications to the cloud. To discuss that, I'm joined by Shawn D'Souza, Global CTO for Hybrid Cloud Service at IBM Consulting. Shawn, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, James. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, so hybrid cloud, obviously it's gotten to be, in many ways, a default deployment model for enterprise IT these days. I'd like to get your sense as companies continue to migrate to the cloud and hybrid cloud sees ever more adoption. What trends are moving the sector here in 2022?
So I like to think of cloud adoption in waves or phases. The first wave of, or chapter one, as we call it, focus on migrating mostly virtualized applications or building new applications to support digital transformation of sales channels or customer-facing use cases. But with COVID, everything changed. And overnight, businesses became what I refer to as virtual enterprises operating remotely. And this increased cloud adoption significantly. We have seen digital transformation shift from sales, servicing, and customer channels to deeper into the core. What do I mean by that? So the core comprises of mission critical applications with a greater focus on security and data controls in place. Most of these workloads are incompatible with cloud and therefore need to be modernized. We refer to this phase of cloud adoption as chapter two. And in chapter two, most of our clients are implementing a hybrid cloud strategy to deal with the realities of regulatory constraints, data privacy, and also to maximize value from their cloud programs and de-risk the overall cloud transformation journey.
So if I ask you a question about that, I think it's interesting in that some of those applications you're talking about, they were coded years ago, and they're not by any stretch cloud native. I mean, we can't even do lift and shift with those applications?
That's right. Most of these applications, I mean, if I classify them into a couple of categories, you're talking about legacy applications. These could be homegrown or commercial packages. And the thing with legacy applications is that while they run the core business processes, they have been built decades ago or years ago, and most of them have not been touched. And so therefore, they are incompatible with cloud. So you just cannot move them over, and they have to be modernized very carefully. Otherwise, you're going to disrupt your business operations. And the second category is really around middleware platforms. And we often don't think about middleware platforms as mission critical, but they are because they move data around. They move data around from all these core systems. And these range various application servers, enterprise databases, and other types of integration platforms. And so, when you talk about really taking these to cloud, I consider three factors that are really crucial to the journey. One is you got to transform them incrementally, because again, like I was saying, you want to de-risk as much as possible. And the second is it's not going to be a one size fits all when it comes to cloud destinations. Now, why is this important? Well, there's several reasons. One is maybe they're packaged applications and the vendors do not support a particular cloud instance. The second is because of the data that is associated with these applications. Maybe there's regulations that prohibit you from moving these applications to public cloud. The third could be business case drivers. Maybe the cost of transforming these applications holistically, versus the trade-offs and the benefits just isn't there. And so you want to do that in parts, and maybe you'll end up with a hybrid ecosystem where some parts of these business applications remain on-prem, maybe the data-intensive parts, and maybe some parts go to public cloud. And that's why you'll end up with a hybrid estate. And the key then becomes to implement an operating model that drives consistency in terms of how these target states are managed. And the third thing that I advise our clients on is to really focus on business outcomes and not just transform these applications just for the sake of technology, because our clients want to leverage technology as the foundation to drive innovation and to drive successful business transformation of processes and to compete with the new entrants within their respective industries.
Interesting. So I take it that's one of the roles of the hybrid cloud accelerator. So let's talk about what does the hybrid cloud accelerator do for clients?
So clients often turn to IBM Consulting to realize the full potential of their cloud investments. Now we can meet them where they are in the journey, and we can help them with their transformation efforts, regardless of their choices in cloud providers, since we work with all hyperscaler platforms, from AWS to Microsoft Azure to IBM Cloud and others. And our secret sauce is IBM Consulting Cloud Accelerator. So think about Cloud Accelerator as the GPS for cloud transformation. Let me explain.
Mm-hmm.
So typical enterprises have hundreds, if not thousands of applications, and our clients are looking for the most optimized path to transform these applications based on business criticality, based on the technology stack, and based on business objectives. And Cloud Accelerator provides these optimized paths expressed as a set of hybrid cloud journeys. And these journeys represent the range of application technologies and mission critical workloads that we encounter at clients and across industries. So in essence, hybrid cloud journeys are the maps in the cloud accelerator metaphor, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So these hybrid cloud journeys have been developed based on experiences helping clients with cloud programs worldwide. And through these journeys, Cloud Accelerator is able to provide the step-by-step guidance with prepackaged playbooks, expert rules, and tools, which enables us to deliver these cloud programs with an automation-first mindset. Now, obviously, this approach has a lot of benefits. The first and foremost being being with this notion that most cloud programs change over a period of time. They are multi-year, and so they change. They change because of the evolution of the technology landscape, or because of changing business needs, or because of external factors. And just like a GPS would, Cloud Accelerator is capable of dynamically adjusting and replanning the execution paths so that we can stay focused on delivering the right outcomes. The second is really focus on this ability to deliver with a high degree of consistency, no matter where the client is located, or no matter which industry the client is in, or no matter the choices of cloud providers and underlying technology preferences. And the last point being this ability to de-risk programs, which is really important in chapter 2, given the mission critical nature of applications that we are modernizing. And we are able to deliver that by committing to outcomes-based delivery options for our clients. And we can achieve that by automating a lot through the Cloud Accelerator and relying on cloud experts only to solve the most complicated problems. And that keeps it interesting for our highly skilled cloud practitioners as well. So that way they can focus on only the most complex problems.
Interesting. So, it's talking about the hybrid cloud accelerator. I want to verify. So it's hybrid cloud. Many companies, of course, are thinking about multi-cloud these days. It is a multi-cloud world for many companies. How do you distinguish hybrid cloud, multi-cloud? They interoperate. Where do you define those things?
Yeah, and so in terms of the hybrid cloud accelerator, we have journeys for containerization and for cloud native services. And these cloud native services have been certified for all cloud platforms, for AWS, for Microsoft Azure, for IBM Cloud, and for other options. And we also have journeys for the edge, because some of the workloads are moving to the edge. And in order to accelerate transformation, which is very industry specific, we have journeys for various industries as well, which are journeys compliant with standards such as BION for open banking, Accord for insurance, so on and so forth. So really speaking, we're more focused on the outcomes our clients are trying to achieve, and then these journeys take over, right? Because we are able to look at the application portfolio. We are able to then look at what our clients are trying to drive through their cloud programs, and then we charter the best path forward. And that's what the Cloud Accelerator does for you. So that way, it's just like driving a car. We are headed on we're trying to focus on where we are headed, and the GPS essentially, or the cloud accelerator, helps us take us there in the most optimized manner.
Interesting. I think it's really fascinating. You talk about the edge, and obviously it feels like the year 2022 is an explosive growth year for edge computing. Um, how does the edge fit into the whole hybrid cloud paradigm as you see it?
It's a fantastic question, and our clients are trying to explore that with us as well. And we are seeing edge dominating in a certain number of industries. I mean, if you think about it, I'll give a couple of examples. So connected cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's much more technology that's deployed in connected cars to collect all kinds of heuristics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we are deploying platforms that are built on containers to essentially collect insights from cards and push them into central systems. So that's one example of edge in terms of how we are exploiting the power of edge and connectivity, right? To really mine insights from vehicles, right? The second use case is really around manufacturing, because there's a lot of sensor data that's emitted from factory floors from these large machines, right? And so by crunching analytics where data is created, we are avoiding the round trip to push all this raw information to central analytics platforms, and we are saving both in terms of costs and in terms of how quickly analytics is crunched and pushed back to actually take actions. Maybe there's a problem with a machine. Maybe there's additional data that we can augment so that these machines can be managed more efficiently. And so we're seeing all these use cases emerge, and that allows us to pretty much reimagine businesses by making edge part of the target state, if you will.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. I think that the edge in particular is really seeing rapid growth this year, and I'm guessing the years ahead. Speaking of which, I'd love to get your sense of the future. Obviously, the world of cloud migration, hybrid cloud is evolving really, really rapidly. If you look into your crystal ball, look a few years ahead, what would you expect for the future of hybrid cloud and cloud computing? What are maybe some milestones we should look forward to?
Yeah, I can think of 3 to 4 trends, and you can view those as milestones as well. The first being a pivot more towards cloud modernization, as opposed to just migrating applications to cloud for the reasons we talked about, and with special emphasis on sustainability, because now clients can make those choices in terms of choosing the right services which are beneficial to our environment overall. So that's one.
Mhm.
The second is around this pivot to greater adoption of containers and open solutions, because our clients want open solutions, open ecosystems, and a much higher focus on SaaS applications and industry clouds, again, to deal with the mission critical applications we talked about and to accelerate Chapter 2 transformation imperatives.
Mhm.
The third is this increased focus on AIOPS and the
Mm.
adoption of AI capabilities within cloud operations to manage and optimize the hybrid cloud estate that we talked about effectively. And the last being this need for us to collaborate or for greater collaboration between policymakers, auditors, cloud providers, and systems integrators to evolve security, compliance, and regulatory standards to
Mhm.
protect the hybrid cloud estate.
That's fascinating. I think the one that really catches my ear is the idea of AI ops. It feels like we're going to need AI ops if we're going to continue to keep up with the pace of change and the pace of data inflow. To me, it feels like AI ops is still in many ways in its infancy. Do you agree with that, or is it further along than maybe I think?
I agree with that in terms of adoption. I mean, the technology is out there. I think our clients have focused a lot on cloud migration and cloud modernization, but operating the cloud estate is equally important, because you have to manage your rental facilities, right? And just metaphorically speaking, and so you got to optimize your cloud spend. You have to figure out how to then use those insights to modernize applications further, right? To exploit the full power of cloud, and maybe to maybe you made some bad decisions in terms of which services you use initially, and then you want to course correct that based on the insights that your operating models are providing. And so that's one. The second is is really with this notion that data is going to be emitted and generated continuously, and it's going to be difficult for a human to monitor it. And so you need to have intelligent systems to essentially filter out the noise and allow humans to focus on the problems that matter, right? To avoid outages and to get to resolution much quicker. And so the role of AI is going to be really important to manage not just a single cloud estate, but to manage across hybrid cloud.
Yeah, I would even say, I mean, the term AIOPS, of course, short for artificial intelligence operations, I think it's traditionally been known as somebody that runs IT. Feels like eventually it's going to run the entire business. It's no longer going to be called AIOPS. AIOPS is going to be the AI platform.
That's right, and we sometimes refer to it as a control tower to run businesses, because ultimately you can use those insights from your IT systems to make the right business decisions. And I think we're getting there. It's a maturity curve, if you will. And once we get a good handle around managing IT applications, the next step will be to use those insights, define the right KPIs to then make business decisions based on what you're seeing out of the data.
Shawn, I think you said it. Really interesting stuff. And obviously it's going to be a cool sector to follow in the years ahead. Thanks so much for sharing your insight today.
James, thank you very much for having me.